Hey, hey, I wanted to hop on and share, just I've curated a list of like the best immune and antiviral tips that I've been some practicing for years, and others I've been learning from my friends, my colleagues, my mentors in the medical community. And in light of these unprecedented times, I really, I'm super excited and super passionate about sharing these practices and tips. So I want to just kind of organize it into hopefully a streamlined manner, and just give you, some of the best right now that I feel really effective. So what I'd like to do is first offer some rituals, some maybe that are new, but some maybe that are just remembered, that are just good preventative practices that you can ritualize and make part of your daily habits. Number one is something we probably all mostly grew up with and perhaps have forgotten, and maybe we still practice it. I know that we, as a family unit, haven't been as um, diligent as we could be with these practices. But, when we were kids, it was always like we played outside, or if we were outside, the very first thing we did when we got called in was wash your hands thoroughly and change your clothes. So if you're going to be out and about in a public, yeah, I mean, you come into the home is your sanctuary. So coming in, washing your hands thoroughly and changing your clothes and taking off your shoes. That's huge. I know a lot of us still practice that. Certainly, having a house in Long Beach, New York, right on the water, right on the ocean for 17 years, was like we never wore shoes anyway. We always wearing flip flops. Just slip the flip flops off at the front of the house and come in. But that's really helpful in terms of keeping your home pure. One of the other things I know we did ritualistically as kids is we burned incense. And my mom didn't really like it, but my dad always had it around, and we burned it in the bathroom, we burned it in the kitchen. And incense is great, it's a real purifier for the house. Those are two really great rituals: burning incense for purification, and just remembering to wash your hands, change your clothes when you come in the house. Another ritual is getting back to morning and evening prayer. And that is a huge immune booster. And, prayer can take on many forms. It could be as simple as just being grateful for your body, or saying a mantra, like, I'm healthy, I'm getting healthier every day. I can get into more detail about those things. But in general, just literally waking up in the morning and directing your cells toward good health and sharing that, spreading that out through prayer is really potent. And then at night, same thing, directing your cells to bask in those thoughts is incredibly nourishing and incredibly replenishing. So another great ritual, and I'm going to offer this kind of in light of like we've got to practice social distancing. So what I say is, okay, let's practice family intimacy. So one of the most significant sources um, of happy feelings, which again, when you feel happy, you absolutely fortify your immune system. And secreting oxytocin and serotonin make us feel good. And how do we secrete that? Hugging and touching our loved ones. So, as much as we're practicing social distancing, which is incredibly important in these times, well, what's the gift here? The gift is that we're all, perhaps a lot of us are self quarantining right now. A lot of schools are closed. We're all home. We're with our families. And if we're washing our hands and we're quarantined and we're, hug and be intimate with your family. Make sure those connections are real. It's one thing to, huddle around the TV and watch some good old Netflix, which is fine. It's another thing to be by the fire and just, give each other a hug, a little snuggle time is so nourishing for the immune system. So I say practice family intimacy. And if you live alone, self intimacy. Give yourself a hug, self massage. And that gets into another topic. So some great antiviral tips. One is self massage, and particularly massaging your organs, massaging around your organs, and just stimulating the chi, the energy movement, and the circulation. And the more that we can circulate our lymph, our blood, the less is pooling, the less is thick, the less is open. It's like a pond, right? A pond that's just sitting and still becomes murky, and it is like a breeding ground for bacteria and viruses. And it's the same thing inside our bodies. We want to keep the fluid and energy moving and circulating like the ocean so that we're constantly replenishing, restoring, shedding, and detoxifying. So many good tips. So another great antiviral tip, and I love this. I just picked this up yesterday and I can't wait to do it. If you are going to go out in public, and perhaps, again, we don't know what the future holds. We don't know what it's going to look like. But a lot of people are heading out and putting on face masks and buying up every face mask they could get their hands on. And what we have found as medical professionals is that this particular virus is likes the moisture. It breeds in the moisture. So what's interesting about face masks is a surgical face mask can actually it can hold in more moisture. So one recommendation that I picked up is if you are going to be out in public, just take a simple, a scarf and wrap the scarf around, and using essential oils is great for immune health, but particularly right now, this virus is attacking the lungs. So essential oils that are really good for the lungs are oregano, thyme oil, and thieves oil. How cool is that? And you can just actually diffuse a little, put it into a spray bottle with a little bit of maybe coconut oil or water. It depends on, what oil you're using. It depends on what the dilution recommendation is. And you can just simply spray that onto your scarf. How lovely is that? I always default back to two oils I use regularly, rose oil and sesame oil, which gets into my next tip. But you can just simply spray the rose oil, spray the thyme, spray oregano, and put it in the scarf and wrap that around. My next tip is oiling your nostrils and oiling your ears every morning, every night with sesame oil. And also, again, getting back to massage, but oiling your feet, particularly, just all through the feet. Self-massage is great, but massaging the feet with sesame oil is wonderful. Sesame oil actually has good calcium content, which gets absorbed right through the skin. And calcium not only fortifies bones, but certainly helps the immune system stay strong. And just a side note, your immune system has the advanced technology to fight through viruses like these. We already have it within us. So what we want to do is we just want to optimize what our bodies already have. So, and what I'm sharing today are really just my curated list of kind of preventative tips and care tips, not, if you actually feel like you are sick, because I can certainly share with you some other information about that. Maybe I'll do another video about that. So, sesame oil is wonderful, thieves oil, thyme, oregano. So getting into some nutritional strategies that are great for immune health and some antiviral tips as well are drier foods right now. Again, this virus is kind of breeds on moisture. And so we want to get back in alignment with the alkalinity and acidity in our bodies. So staying away from animal proteins, particularly right now, and I'm not saying one diet better than another. I'm just saying right now, opting for proteins that come from vegetable sources. the two winners that I've felt as a physiologist over the past couple weeks in noticing what's kind of going on with this are sweet potatoes and broccoli. Sweet potatoes and broccoli, those are like my top two. And I always say, and have for years say, onions, garlic, ginger. That's like the trio. That's like those are like the holy trinity of foods. Um, and I've shared already some cool tips on how to cook them down into a broth, but they're just great for flavoring. Add them into your cooking, and then also eating foods that are warm or cooked right now, which is easy. I mean, in this part of the country, in New York, it's still cold out, but instead of eating things cold directly from the refrigerator, warming the foods first. Nourishing soups, broths are really good. Again, the green leafy vegetables, of course, and then whole grains, staying away from the processed food. We're getting back to what we already know. So, this is just a great indicator of what our bodies are asking us for anyway in terms of nourishment. So, that's kind of some nutritional stuff. And then, a couple last things. Getting down to the movement, sweat. Sweat is the single best antibacterial you could ever put on your body. So no, you do not need to go running to Bath and Body Works and buying out all their little cute antibacterial gels, which are completely gone. And now they're like on, Amazon for $7,000. um, Sweat. So how do you sweat? Well, move your body. And so your immune health is dependent on getting just the right balance of exercise that creates a sweat that really detoxifies, that really purifies the skin and the organs, and feels really invigorating and good, and not going too far and over exercising where you actually start to compromise your immunity. So, what does that look like? That looks like light cardiovascular activity, going out, brisk walking, and perhaps if you're a runner, maybe coming down. I've scaled back on my running and I've been committed to walking, but for a much longer duration, and it's been feeling fabulous. So, kind of scaling back on the really high intensity stuff and allowing your body to sweat over a long period of time naturally, and letting it be on your skin for a while instead of, I got to wipe this sweat off. Let your skin marinate in that sweat. It's a wonderful antibacterial, wonderful protection, and just overall great to again purify your system. And um, I'm going to say one thing about toilet paper right now, and I'm going to end with this great tip. And this could get into a whole other training. There are those cultures that believe that folks that are obsessed with their lower regions and bathroom and not using anything other than water to cleanse the derriere after a good you know what, are not very intelligent. So we're all hoarding toilet paper. It's very funny. And I just want to share with you, there are some other methods to cleaning the bum after you take a dump. I can't put it more poetically than that. And a practice that may be much easier to get yourself involved in now that we are working from home, schooling from home. A lot of American homes, of course, are not built with bidets, but it's the old shit and shower routine. Shit and shower, shit and shower. So we're home. So, and this goes into another training, but if you're not that regular, there are things that you could do to create more regulation in terms of what time of day you're actually doing number two, so that you can time it around getting into the shower. So a healthy digestive system is a very predictable digestive system. So coming around like, oh, I notice, hey, 9, 10 o'clock every morning is my time. So perhaps since you're working from home, plan to shower after that. And that is a great way to cleanse the body. No toilet paper required. Just saying. And if you are having trouble regulating, two tips I'll offer right now, getting back to exercise, is I've been saying to a few clients lately, hula while Hulu, hula during Hulu. And what I mean by that is if you are going to, kind of take some time, relax, watch a little television, that's cool. No judgment. Fine. But maybe 1 to 2 minute blocks, you can get up and just move your hips. Pretend you're in a hula hoop and just get the hips moving. The more that you can move the hips in uncomfortable motion is the more that you can open up your pelvic floor and create the kind of tension internal. You're almost giving your intestines an internal massage when you do that. It's really natural. It's really fun. Also, when you are in the shower, you can massage around your intestines and let the warm water hit the intestines, and that's wonderful as well. There are lots of other things I can offer. Certainly probiotics are wonderful. Fermented foods are also really great, and also really great antiviral. So I dropped in 15 minutes of what I feel are some great tips right now, some rituals, some nourishment, some movement, antiviral, immune support. So much love. Peace out. All right, baby.